Okay. I'm hoping to learn where to start. Is there a link or document to show the order for applying? For example, first apply for business of Secretary of State, application for CSLB. So you may want to rewatch this this workshop here. Like I said, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. You can download it from our webpage, and we did go through the order, so you can go ahead and do that first. You'll want to register with Secretary of State first. If you're going to be an LLC or a corporation, you need to do that first because you'll need that information when you are filling out your application. When ready, do we take both exams on the same day, the law exam and the specific trade exam? So do they take the exam both on the same day?
It will be scheduled on the same day, but you know, they can always just take half and then take the other one some other time. But for the first time when they're scheduled, yes, they're scheduled for the same day.
And if you need to reschedule, it's a $60 rescheduling fee, just as a reminder.
Correct.
Is it possible to download this presentation? Yes, we've covered that. If my bachelor's degree is not in business or engineering, will it still count towards education credit? So if their degree is not in business and engineering, can they still get credit?
Yes, they still get some credit. Submit your transcripts that shows the degree, and you will get some credit.
For a person that is self-employed, could your client be your certifier? Yes. If you are self-employed and you have clients who can certify that you have 4 years of experience within the last 10, yes, you can have them fill out that form, have them be very detailed, very specific on the duties that you performed for them, and yes, they can be your certifier. Are the tests given online? No, not at this time. You have to take the exam. They are on a computer, but you have to take them at one of our CSLB test locations. Do you add educational credit, or is it 24 months for a law degree and nothing for a bachelor's degree? So I think they're asking how much can they get for a law degree and a bachelor's degree if they have both?
If the bachelor degree is administrative, like business admin, that's 24 months. If there is a law degree, that's 24 months.
So we wouldn't add them. We're not going to be combining. It would only be 24 months. Then you would have to have another 24 months of practical experience. Correct, folks?
Correct.
If an individual is
combine.
Right, no, we won't combine the experience. If an individual is currently listed as the RME on a license and has been on it for 15 years and now would like to disassociate from that license to get their own, can they apply for an exam waiver? So if you're an RME and you passed the exam, you've been on this license for 15 years, it's active, and now you want to go ahead and get your own, you can apply for the waiver if it's going to be in the same classification that you already have. So as long as you already have that classification, yes, you can apply for the exam waiver. Do certifications given for courses by licensed contractors count towards the education requirement? So if it's something that the contractor, a course that the contractor offered, would they get credit for that?
We do not usually use that. You can send it in. We have our deputy look at it, but we have not in the past given credit for that.
Right. Am I the qualifier? Like, I'm the applicant, but here it's called the qualifier. Yes, the applicant is the qualifier. If you have a corporation, there's more people, there's more, not just the one person on the license, then you would tell us who the qualifier is. But if it's just going to be you, you're the applicant, it's just one person on the license, you are the qualifier. What additional information is needed for Section 5, Question 13? I'm not sure. We'll get back to you on that one. Section 5, Question 13. I don't see the application. My father has 20 years of being an electrician. I am a U.S. Army veteran, and I wanted to start the company with my father. Which path would be more appropriate when applying for my contractor's license? So if his father has 20 years of being an electrician, he's an Army US veteran, they want to start the company together. What would be the most appropriate path for applying for a contractor's license? Can they both be on a license?
Yes. One of them has to be, of course, the qualifier, the person who actually has the experience. Now, if, again, depends on the entity of the license they're going to apply for, that will decide the titles. If it's sole ownership, the father has to be the RME because you cannot have more than one owner, and the son could be the owner. And if it's corporation, of course, it has its own title. So they have to decide which entity they choose, and then based on that, choose the titles. Yes, they can.
So they can. You can both be on the license. You would have to let us know who the qualifier is. It sounds like it's going to be your father, since he's the one with the experience. He would be responsible for the supervision of the job, and also he would have to take the examination. What experience documentation is needed if you're part of a family contracting business and have been working and listed on the license for 10 plus years? I've been working and listed on the license. So if you're already on a license, you can let us know that. There is a question on the application that asks if you are listed on any other license. So you can include that license number and we would be able to reference that. What type of license requires to perform the hydrovac excavation work? So do you want to talk about when you're not sure what license you should apply for, what you should do?
Please send the email to classifications, that's plural, classifications at cslb.ca.gov, and our deputies, classification deputies, will help you with that.
Correct. So there had been a question about Section 5, question number 13. What it's asking is if you are going to be the certifier of the qualifier on your license, if you are the qualifier, will you, as a qualifying individual, perform one or more of these duties? And the duties listed are direct supervision, control over construction operations. What we are asking there is if you are going to be the qualifier, you are responsible for that license. You are responsible for supervision. So if you're going to be the qualifier, you need to answer yes, because you will be responsible. What documentation can be used to verify unpaid work experience? So we did talk about, we have that, there is a form on our website. We included the link and you can access it from our general website. It's listed as acceptable documentation to verify work experience. On there, we do accept different documentation that we accept. We do give credit for work that wasn't paid, or if you were cash pay and can't prove that you received cash pay, you have no receipts. There are other ways of providing documentation for that work experience. So I do encourage you to look at that form there. It will give you ideas of what we do, what we accept as documentation to prove your work experience. Now remember, you're not going to want to send in that information with your application. You're only going to need to send in that documentation if a CSLB employee asks you. Once we receive your application, we'll assign it to a technician. They will review your application. If they need supporting documentation, they will let you know, and then you'll want to check out that document. Okay. How can I obtain work credit if I no longer work for that employer and the employment ended in turmoil? So how can they get work credit if they don't work for the employer anymore?
Remember, it doesn't have to be your employer that certify you. There are different individuals on that certification of work experience that can certify you. So as long as they have observed you to do the work, you can ask them to certify you.
Mm-hmm. My grandfather, now long deceased, had a contractor's license. It was active until the early 90s. After they qualify, can they request a license number that belongs to a relative? for sentimental reasons.
Back in the 90s. No, you can submit, you look at, but no, usually we don't go back that long. Usually we just, for example, if they are leaving the business now, retiring or disease, unfortunately recently, but the license is in sort of like good standing, then we can transfer it. So being from the 90s, no.
Okay. How many questions for each exam? So it varies, and anywhere from 100 to 120, I would say, on our exams, both the business and law, and then you would take the trade exam if needed. Also, we have a large bank of questions, so sometimes it might be that you come in today and take your exam and then come back in 3 weeks to retake an exam, and none of the questions that you got on the last exam are listed on this exam. That's because we are constantly switching out the test questions. We do want to make sure that you know the answers and you know what you're applying for. So we do have a large bank of questions, but roughly between 100 to 120 questions. I am a trustee of a trust. Can I serve as the owner builder for work done to gain experience credit? Vote.
You have to actually show us that you have performed the work. So like for the owner builders, you should properly serve as the owner builder. Then you have to submit like the permits and all that stuff, and you have to show us that you have actually performed, or you supervise the laborers perform. We will not give you credit for the work done by other general contractors.
Right, and that's only if you're going for the B license, correct?
Exactly. Only B gets owner builder credit.
From the chart, it appears that a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management will be granted 36 months of educational credit. Is that always the case? Will they always be granted 36 months, vote, if they have a Bachelor of Science?
Science in construction management. Yes, 36.
Did you say yes, 36 months?
Yes, 36 months. I'll make me say they go 36 months.
Next question. I am applying for a builder owner license. My name is not under the house deed or permits. It's under my dad's name. We have the same last name and we live together. I conducted the work because of his age. Do I qualify to apply? No. If it's not your property, it looks like this is not your property and you're not on the permits. If your name is not on the permits, you're not going to be able to document that experience, so you wouldn't be able to qualify. Right, so
Correct.
do other personnel have to do a live scan? Yes, anybody who is going to be listed on the license has to do a live scan. Can a certifier be a member of the same LLC applying for the license? So can somebody who's on the license be the certifier?
Yeah, as long as they have the authority to do work. And if it's actually required of documents or that, they can verify. Yes, they can certify.
Next question. I have a BA degree in graphic design and an MS degree in business. Does any of this qualify towards the 4-year requirement? Again, we're not going to be able to give you specific answers. Not until we actually have your transcript in front of a technician will they be able to let you know how much they'll be able to give you. So it's not something that we can answer here. You're going to have to send in your transcripts with your application. Do we apply using my own name or have to be a business?
you have the option. You can apply using your own name. If you would like a business name, you do have the option of using a business name, and you would let us know that in section 1. But if you don't list a business name, we'll go ahead and issue the license to your personal name. Do you need to have formal training for the C10? Fo, do they need to have formal training for the C10 license?
We would look at your journeyman experience. You don't look at your formal training. So as long as you have the 4 years of journeyman or higher experience, and you can certify that or verify that with the certification or experience, that's what we need.
Okay, next question. I have a business degree in taking construction management. My husband is a journeyman and planning on a B license. Should he be the qualifier or should I? You will need to select who's going to be the certifier. Again, you need 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. So if he's a journeyman and he's planning on getting the B and he has 4 years within the last 10, it can be him. If you have a business degree, you would have to have the most you would be able to get, depending on what type of degree you have, the most you would be able to get would be 36 months. So you would still have to have 1 month of practical experience. Okay. Next question. Is there any conflict of being property manager and using my B class license? In order to be a property manager, you need to have a B class license, depending on the type of work that you're going to be doing. We would need more information to answer that question. It depends exactly what are you doing as a property manager. But if you're performing construction work as part of a property manager, yes, you would need to have a B license. Or if you're in charge of overseeing the project, you would need a B license. Will a bachelor in civil engineering be granted 36 months? Again, we're not going to be able to give specifics of of how much credit we can give. Sorry, is this class also for a sales license? No. What this class is for is only for a California contractor license. If I have built something as an owner builder, how do I use that towards my credit? If you owned the property and you're applying for a B license, you can fill out the form that we discussed. If you download our application online, there is a form attached to the application that you will need to fill out. Again, it has to be verifiable. You have to be able to prove that you were the owner and that you did the work. You can use permits. We can things of that nature, but you do need to fill out the form and provide a copy of the permit. I understand CSLB has many applications to review. What is the average time it takes for the process to complete from submitting the application to passing the exam? So right now, you can go on our website and look at our processing times. You will be able to see what date we're working on. It varies, everybody's is different because some people will it'll take longer to get their fingerprints done or get their criminal background record back to us. So different scenarios, but you can go on our website right now, look at our processing times, look at the date that we're working on. Okay. Working in the role as a handyman, what would be the best license to test for? So we currently don't have a handyman license. We don't have a handyman license. And Fo, do you want to talk about that one?
Right now, we don't have a handyman license. We're using the license, like the license you have now.
I think we're still having problem with your audio, Fo. It's okay. So working in the role as a handyman, we don't have a handyman license, so you would have to pick a trade, and you can look at our classifications to see the various classifications that we offer. We are currently working on a remodel license that will be in production hopefully soon. We're working on getting it has been approved by the governor. The governor approved us issuing a new classification, the remodel license. It's not in effect just yet. They're still working on the examination for it. So coming soon, make sure you check back on our website. But as of right now, what we would what we would suggest is look at the different classifications that we carry and apply for one of those. If I am a military veteran in a non-construction career field, should I still submit my military college transcript and my DD-214? Yes, you can still submit it because we can look at that, and we do offer an expedited service for veterans. So even if you don't get the education requirement, you may be able to get expedited service. So it's a good idea to submit it. Where does civil engineering degree fall within the amount of credit given? So again, we won't be able to give you specifics on that until we actually have your transcript. If I have a BA and an AA, are they both taken into consideration? So we don't combine credit. We will use the one that gives you the most credit. I want to get a contractor's license to do home improvement projects, but I am by myself right now. Do I have to get a business entity registration first to get a contractor's license? No. If you are going to be applying, you said you're by yourself. So I don't know if that means you're applying for a sole owner license. If you're applying for a sole owner, you don't have to register your business first. It's not a requirement for us. You can apply for a license as a sole owner. How many years of credit will be given for somebody with 14 years of military? Well, we wouldn't be able to tell you that until we had your paperwork in front of us. So, but what we are looking for is 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. If I have built something as an owner builder, how do I use that? So that one's been answered as well. Are there programs to gain relevant contractor work experience while working full-time? We don't offer any programs. What we would need is for you to prove that you have 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. And so let's say you're only doing it as a part-time to gain the experience, then we would be looking at 8 years within the last 10 years. Can a certifier be a member? Okay, that one's been answered as well. I wanted to start a company with my father. He has 20 years of experience. We've answered that one as well. Let me run through here and see. I think we're getting a lot of the same questions again. How does, at 1058, how does a splitting a Class B license with a partner work? So if you are going to apply for a partnership license, we do have partnership license, that can be the entity. If you're applying for a Class B, you would let us know who the qualifier is. You would let us know who the person with the experience is. That person is the qualifier. That person is the one who will be taking the examinations. The only caveat with that is, let's say one day the partner decides to, one of the partners decides to leave. Then if you would want, let's say you and your partner are applying, he's the one with the experience, you tell us he's the qualifier, he takes the examination. If one day you decide to break up that partnership and that partner leaves, then you could reapply, but you would have to take the examination at that point, since you did not take it initially. Is it possible to apply for C8 and C29 in the same license? So one license can have multiple classifications. The way it works is that when you submit your application, you would have to choose one classification. So you select either the C8 or the C29. You start with one, and as long as you are able to provide experience for both classifications, let's say 4 years within the last 10 years, then we would be able to issue the additional classification. The way it works is once your license number is issued, you would then submit a different form, an easier form. It's the additional classification form. The fee is $150, and then we would add that classification to your license. So you can have multiple classifications. And at the time of renewal, you only pay one renewal fee for all of the classifications. There isn't a renewal fee for each classification. It's all under one license, so there's just one renewal fee. Our plumbing company is incorporated. Can we add a general engineering to the corporation? Again, you can add different classifications to your license. As long as you have the experience, you can prove the experience, you can add different classifications to any license. If two people apply for a license and one doesn't have experience whatsoever, would the application be denied? No. If two people are applying for a license, and sometimes we see it's like a husband and wife, they both want to be on the license, but only one of them is the one with the work experience, that person would be the qualifier. They have the experience. They would be responsible for taking the examination, and they would supervise the construction, and both of you could be on the license, not a problem. I have 28 years electrical experience, 14 different state electrical master license. Is it possible to qualify for a license in California by endorsement without taking the trade exam and only having to take the business law exam? It depends. Let's see, I have 28 years of electrical. If you are licensed in another state, we do have reciprocity with some states. There's only 4 states that we have reciprocity with. So if you are licensed in another state, we absolutely want you to let us know. And then yes, you would only take the business law exam. But if it's not one of the states that we have reciprocity with, then you would take both the business law and the trade. If I am self-employed, will I need more than tax returns to prove work experience, or will I need additional documentation to prove work experience? So, as we mentioned, if you are self-employed and are asked to provide additional documentation to prove your work experience, we do have a form that you can look up on our website, www.cslb.ca.gov, and if in the search engine you put acceptable documentation for work experience, you can see the form. You'll see what forms we would approve, what type of documentation will be accepted. For the general contractor license experience, I don't have trade or building experience, but I do have management supervisory experience. Can this fulfill toward the work experience? So it looks like you have 15 years of experience. We do give experience credit for being a manager or a supervisor of a construction. It depends. So we want to make sure that you do have the 4 years within the last 10. It looks like you have over 15. So if that's within the last 10 years, we would encourage you to use that. We do provide experience credit for supervisors. Yes. I heard a thing, a qualifier applies as a sole owner. The process will take longer than an LLC. Any difference? And how's the process time now? Like, I will apply the application now. When will I get the test? Okay, so again, all of our applications are processed in the same time frame, regardless of what entity you select. Sole owner, LLC, corporations, they all are processed at the same time frame. So you can go on our website, like I mentioned, you can go on our website now, look at our processing times and see what date we're working on. I would encourage you to look. As far as test dates, we're a little behind because we did have to close down our test centers. They just reopened in February, so we are trying to catch up with our test dates. So we do ask that you be patient, but you can go on our website and look at our processing times. Okay. Is there a contractor school that CSLB recommends? No, CSLB doesn't recommend any of the contractor schools. We have heard that some contractor schools really do assist our applicants in passing their examinations, but we've also heard from other applicants that tell us that they took the examination, they took the classes and they didn't help them with the examination. We are not affiliated with any of the contractor schools. We do not give them our questions. We don't share our questions with them. So we're not sure what questions they're using to prepare their applicants with. So no, we're not affiliated with any. We don't recommend one over the other. I worked for a real estate developer as a construction manager for 11 years. Does this qualify as work experience to obtain a contractor's license? It depends what duties you performed as a construction manager. Were you overseeing construction work? It depends. So you want to pay attention on whoever's certifying your license, your work experience. They're going to want to take a look at our presentation, because we did talk about the experience and how what we give credit for and what would be the best type of description for that work. So go ahead and review the. You can download our presentation and pay special attention to that, because we do give credit for management experience. Can working with a C10 certified qualify as experience? If you're applying for a C10 license, you can use that experience, yes. What you want to do is make sure you have 4 years within the last 10 years, and that they are very detailed as far as what your work experience, what type of duties you did. Now, remember, it does not have to be a licensed contractor to be your certifier. Your certifier can be any number of those. There's boxes at the bottom of that certification form. It could be a foreman, it could be a business associate, it could be a co-worker, different categories. So it does not have to be a licensed contractor to be your certifier. It was mentioned that some specialty licenses only need to take the law exam. How is that determined, as I may have missed that explanation? Yes, so we have, if you look on our list of the classifications that we offer, we do have some that are specialty. C61, we went over that section as well. They're very limited in what they can do, but there are some that do not require the law exam. So if it falls, I'm sorry, it only requires a law exam. There is no trade exam. So you'll want to look at the list of our classifications offered, and there's C61 specialty classifications. Those do not require the second exam. I have been working on my own for 5 years. I have no supervisor to verify experience. What do I do for verification? Okay, so we've talked about how, if you're a sole owner, how you can go about it, documenting your experience. You still need the same, it's going to be the same process. You're still going to need somebody to fill out your certification form, somebody that knows that you have journeyman level experience, at least 4 years within the last 10 years. That would start the process. And then if you are contacted by CSLB to provide additional documentation, there is a list of documentation that we would approve for somebody who is a sole owner that works just by themselves. There is a list of documentation that we would accept. So you want to go ahead and look at that. Do we need to take both exams if we have sufficient work experience? Yes, you still need to take both exams. Hello, I want to apply for my C54 tile contractor license. I have 17 years of experience, but I'm self-employed. How can I prove my work experience? Okay, so we just answered that one. If I am in an apprenticeship and working on owner-builder projects simultaneously, am I able to use experience from both? You can submit both. You want to submit the owner-builder project form, and then you also want to submit any certification that you've received from the apprenticeship program, and then we will let you know. Once we have those in front of us, we can review them and let you know how much experience you get. I think this goes with the question before. You would still, no matter how many years you've been in the construction field, you still need to take both exams. Can a real estate broker license be used in any way towards a contractor's license? No, you would have to, but as we've mentioned, what you need is construction experience. We would need to see construction experience 4 years within the last 10. Sorry, I'm reading through these. We have a lot of repeat questions. For other personnel listed on the application, do they have to do a live scan as well? Yes, everybody who is listed on the application will need to do live scan. I have a bachelor's degree. I have 7 years of overseas experience. Would this count towards licensing? So again, if you have questions about your education, we can't give you specifics on how much credit you would get, but you would have to submit your transcripts along with your application in order to to know exactly how much credit you'll get. But you can refer to the chart that we have up now to get an idea. A lot of education questions. You'll want to refer to the screen that we have up. All of my experience in the last 10 years is with an employer that I left on very bad terms with. Are they under any obligation to complete the experience verification? No, it doesn't have to be that person. If you have a coworker that worked with you throughout those 10 years that knows that you have journeyman level experience, at least 4 years within the last 10 years, that person can be your qualifier, your certifier, I'm sorry. It does not have to be your employer. Hi, I have a C36 license and I want to apply for a B license contractor. Do I still need to take both tests, the legal part and the trade part? So if you already have a C36 and it's active and in good standing and you want to apply for a B classification, you only need to submit the additional classification for the B classification, and you would only be required to take the trade exam for the B since you're already licensed. I am a journeyman welder. Does C60 supersede C23? They both do two different functions. So what you can do is you can look at our classification booklet that we have available online. It's a description of classification booklet, and that booklet lets you know what jobs you can perform with the different classifications that CSLB offers. So you'll want to read up on C60 and then read up on C23 and see which is the most appropriate class for the work that you are doing. Can one person in the company take the test and the other person have the experience? No. The person who takes the examination is the person with the experience. That's the qualifier. So you let us know who has the experience, and that's the person who has to take the examination. For the A general engineering license, is experience on a high-rise skyscraper acceptable? 31-story concrete structure. For a civil engineer, for an A license, that does sound like something that would help you apply. They definitely A license can build skyscrapers, so you would want to submit that information on the work experience certification form so that we can consider it. Again, we're looking for 4 years within the last 10 years. Normally, how soon will we get the response if we are qualified to the test? It says, how soon will we get the response? You will know on the day that you take your examination if you pass or fail. They will let you know the moment you take your exam. They'll let you know if you passed or failed, and if you failed, they'll let you know what your percentage was and what they won't tell you the correct answer to the questions, but they will let you know what topics you need to study about so that you can pass it the next time. My father is the sole proprietor with a General B. I've worked with him for over 17 years. How would I best transition to take over? So if you've worked with him for 17 years and you want to take over the license, you would just need to, again, prove that you have the 4 years within the last 10, and we can help with that. I would have you contact, I don't know, Fode, if your audio is working now, but would it be best for him to send an email to the licensing email address? We're gonna cover that in just a second. There's a licensing email address that you can send an email to and let them know that that's what you're planning to do, and they can assist you with that. It's listed right there on the screen. If you can see the screen, licensing at cslb.ca.gov, and let them know that that's what you're trying to do. And unfortunately, Fode's audio is not working, but if you send an email to that address, they will respond to you. Okay. I was on a job where the handyman said he had a General B license. I looked his company up, and it's not his name, but a different name on as a corporation. How many people can use this person's license and the license was not listed on their website or business card? Can the license be an umbrella for subcontractors, or is the corporation misusing the license to let this handyman sub get jobs larger than $500? So multiple questions here. And it's a good question, because when you get a license, let's say you get a B license, you, as a corporation, everybody who's on that license has to be listed on the CSLB website. So if you see somebody who is not on that license, then they are technically working without a license. When you become a licensed contractor and you want to hire subcontractors, it is your responsibility to make sure that they are licensed contractors and that they are licensed in the correct classification. And that's important because let's say you're a B general contractor and you want to hire somebody to do the concrete, a C8 concrete contractor. You want to make sure that that person is properly licensed, and if they're going to have employees, that they have workers' compensation insurance for their employees. Because if the homeowner, let's say, one of their employees gets hurt on the job and the homeowner files a complaint with us, we will hold you responsible for having hired that contractor. So make sure that you hire somebody who is properly licensed in the correct classification. Okay, and all that information is available on our website. We do list the people who are listed on the license. So if you didn't see their name on our website, they're not listed on that license. For the general contractor license experience, I don't have trade building experience, but I do have management experience. Okay, we've talked about that one. It says, can you please restate the order of applying? I'm hoping to learn where to start. Is there a link or document to show the order of applying? With us, you would want to, the first step is to send in your application. That's the first step. And then once you apply, we will send you out a test date. And at the same time, we will also send you live scan information so that you can get your fingerprints cleared. That would be the process. But first, the first step is just applying, sending in your application. On the owner builder form, do I select yes on box number 3, self-employed? On the owner builder, now remember, the owner builder form is only if you're an owner of the property and you're wanting to gain experience for work done on your own property. And you have to have proof, documentation that you are the one that performed the work and that you own that property. And the proof can be in the form of a permit, final inspections. We'll take a look at all of that. But it has nothing to do with being an LLC or a partner or anything like that. The owner builder form is for those who want to apply for a B license and need to use experience working on their own project. Hello, I am an architect. I have more than 45 years experience. I want to work as a designer, housing plans. Do I need a license for that? Will you have in Spanish another event like this? We used to hold our workshops in Spanish monthly. But due to COVID, we had to close down the Spanish workshops. We are working on making online Spanish workshops, so be on the lookout on our website for that. As far as the experience for designer, housing, and plans, it depends exactly what you're going to be doing. What I would recommend is that you look at our classification booklet online and see if the work that you're going to be doing falls under that category, and if so, that means you would be required to have a license, a California contractor license. Also, we do have, as Fode had mentioned earlier, we do have a classification deputy. And what that person does is when you are interested in becoming a licensed contractor, but you're not too sure which license classification you should be applying for, if you send them an email and let them know what type of work you're going to be doing, what type of materials you're going to be using, what is going to be the scope of your contract, things of that nature. If you send them that information, they can let you know what the appropriate license will be. Now, the email address for that is classifications with an S at the end, classifications@cslb.ca.gov. Send them an email, let them know, like I mentioned, the scope of work, what type of work you're going to be doing, what type of materials are you going to be using, all of that information, and then they can make a determination on the appropriate classification that you should be applying for. And you can also read our description of classification booklet online. Okay. I checked yes on section 5, question 13, and at the top of the page it says that if you answer yes to any question, you must submit a separate sheet with detailed explanation. What information needs to be on the separate sheet? The question seems pretty self-explanatory. So you'll want to look it over and see exactly what they're asking. We had mentioned that one. I think we already answered that one before. That's the same section that you had asked. Section 5, question 13 is pertaining to, are you supervising the project? You want to make sure that you are going to be exercising direct supervision of a project. Does project and if they have any other questions, once the technician receives your application, if they have any other questions, they'll follow up with you. They will give you some time to offer them an explanation, to give you they give you certain days to respond to any questions. So it's not, if they don't have that information, they're not going to automatically deny your application. So make sure you work with your technician and that you're doing it in a timely manner, because they do give you a certain number of days to answer the questions. We talked about that one already. Okay. As an owner builder, is there any other documentation that can be provided as proof other than permits? Permits is really what we go with. We're looking at final inspections. When did the inspections occur? How long did the project take? What kind of scope? What was the scope of the project? But it does have to be something that you can document. If you don't have permits, you're not going to be able to document it, so you wouldn't be able to get any credit for that. Can my customers be the ones to show proof for the 48 months of experience? Yes, if you have clients or customers in the past that know that you have 48 months worth of experience in the last 4 years within the last 10 years, yes. And let's say one customer can only do 1 year of experience, and maybe you have another customer that can do the other 3 years. You can make copies of that form and have different customers, certify different time frame. As long as it's 48 separate months in the last 10 years, we will take a look at it. On the Form 7065, Section 3, Question 6 asks for the previous CSLB license. If an individual is the RME on the license and is trying to get their own license, do they leave it blank or enter CSLB number they are currently listed on the RME? I would list the number. I'm going to go ahead and list the number. Sorry, that one's very specific. Sound is warped. Yeah, that's why he's not on here anymore. I started the Carpenter Union in 2013. I've been a journeyman for 3 years. I completed my apprenticeship program. Will I still get qualified? So remember, we mentioned you don't want to use education just to squeak by. So we want to make sure that you are able to prove that you have 4 years within the last 10. If you're thinking the apprenticeship is going to give you 1 year of credit, we wouldn't want you to risk applying and then having your application denied because you don't have enough credit. So I would wait till you have 4 years of journeyman level experience that you can prove to go ahead and submit. Sorry, I'm just going through. People are letting us know the sound was bad. Can one person in a company take the exam and when be the experience if the license is held in that company? We talked about that. The person with the experience has to be the one taking the exam. I already have a C36 license and I want to apply for B. We also talked about that. Let's see. We're getting a lot of the same questions asked again. Is the new remodel renovation license limit only $750? I think I read that in the bill. We still don't have that license. It's still in the works. So look for more information on that in the future on our website. I am applying using my own name. I don't have an office right now. Can I use my home address for the application? Yes, you can. You can use your home address on the application. If I have been paid cash for jobs that I worked for the last 4 years of work, does that count as 4 years experience? We will we will consider, we know that a lot of people actually, that's how they get their start. They get their start by cash pay, and that's okay. As long as it's something that you can verify, whether it be us talking to your clients or if you have business associates that are able to certify your work experience, it's the same process. As long as we can look at your work experience, certify, document it, not a problem. We know people are getting paid cash, and that's not a problem. If the majority of my experience is in cabinetry and millwork, can I apply for a B license? Well, that depends. If you want to apply for a B license, you have to have that B experience. It would be 4 years within the last 10. So if you only have cabinetry and millwork experience, no, that wouldn't be the appropriate license for you. Is the 36-month of educational credit for bachelor's dependent on the license class or classification? No. No. What we would do is we would look at your transcripts and then let you know how much experience you would get once we had the transcripts in front of us. Working as a handyman for 10 years, what would be a type of documentation to prove my experience besides getting a certifier? So everybody has to have a certifier. You have to have a certifier no matter what documentation you're going to be providing. So somebody does have to certify your work experience and let us know what type of duties you've been performing for the last 10 years. In addition to that, if you are contacted by a CSLB staff member, then that's when the documentation handout would be helpful to you. We have a handout on our website that lets you know what is acceptable documentation, and you'll want to review that. Okay, so that's all the time we have for questions. We're going to go ahead and move on with our presentation. And thank you all for all your questions. They were really good questions today. If you have any other questions about your application, we encourage you to send an email to this email address here, licensing@cslb.gov. There is somebody from the licensing division that answers those emails. If at some point you need to reschedule your examination or if you have any questions about the exams, you can send an email to exams@cslb.ca.gov. Make sure you include your application number. We've also put together a list of available resources for women considering a career in construction. If you haven't already, be sure to download this presentation to get them. You can download the presentation on our green banner at the top of our homepage, www.cslb.ca.gov. If you're watching the archived video of this workshop on our YouTube page, you'll find the link to the presentation down below. We welcome your comments and topics for future webcasts. Just drop us an email to social@cslb.ca.gov. We want to give a special thank you to our Public Affairs Office for all of their hard work that they do on these workshops. The Get Licensed to Build workshop is a copyrighted production of the California Contractor State License Board. Thank you for watching.